show all about the topic of real estate. My name is Eric Willner, and we are live here. We are broadcasting live here from our South Florida studios. Want to remind you that the Real Estate Show is live 5 days a week. That's Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, and coming at you 5 different ways: on the AM dial, the FM dial, on the apps, one of the free apps that you can just search for, WWNN Money Talk Radio. That's WWNN 1470. If you're searching in one of the apps, you can also listen to us on the website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. And you can also listen to us on our Facebook Live that we are broadcasting right now. If we get the stand to be stay still, we see it's tilting a little bit. But we got a great show for you today. You know, we've been talking about throughout this week the concept of where the market's going right now. Last week, we spoke about real estate and retirement. And I just want to remind our listeners that if you missed the opportunity to download a free copy of our book, just go to automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. Go to the top of the page where it says the Real Estate Show. When you click on the drop down, it says the free book, and there's a information webinar all about how to accelerate your retirement with some of the extra tools that very smart real estate investors are using to help both diversify and accelerate their portfolio. What we're going to talk about a little bit more in the coming weeks, using alternative strategies to banks. And that's going to be very part and parcel. As you know, we're talking about where the market was. And you know, yesterday we were talking about one of the things, the several contradicting headlines. You know, one headline is telling you how great the market is. The other headline is telling you that the housing boom is over as new home sales fall to a pandemic low. Now, what I think most people will probably gloss right over in that headline is, number one, new home sales, because actually existing home sales were up. New home sales was simply an indication that the builders can't keep up with the demand. There's not enough new homes in the marketplace in order to sell. So as a result, you're going to see new home sales drop, and whenever they'll drop whenever there's fewer properties being delivered in the marketplace. And what you're probably seeing right now is a sort of a delayed ripple effect from the sharp increase in construction materials, the shortage in some construction materials, which would have set timelines back. But that being the case, that's where the numbers are. The numbers are sales of new single-family homes fell to an annualized rate of 676,000. That was 6.6 below May's number. So remember, we're still in July, so the numbers for July aren't in. We're talking about June numbers. And so the June numbers were down from May's numbers. And by the way, year over year, June was down 19.4% below June of 2020, where the rate was going at about 839,000 units per year. The median price of a home, so just to let you know, if our market was weakening, so would the prices, but the median price of a newly built home in June rose 6%. In the article, they said just 6%. But when the median appreciation for real estate in a normal market is anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7%, depending on what part of the country, that looks like a pretty good average rate of return, if not on the slightly strong, the healthy side of the averages. So I would not be worried about that number. And certainly that number didn't help the argument that the housing boom is over. In fact, and everywhere that I research and everybody that I talk to that is known in the market outside of the journalists, which of course are in the business of selling headlines, but we don't see that as being a sign of an impending downturn in the marketplace whatsoever, as a matter of fact. So the inventory of new homes, now this is good news. And as I also mentioned in yesterday's show, we would love to see a moderating in the growth and the appreciation, because if we have runaway appreciation and runaway sales, it's clearly something that's not sustainable over the long haul. But if we have this gradual, and remember, I gave you a whole bunch of reasons why there is still, as we speak today, more demand than there is supply. Now, as we start hitting the ceiling of affordability, one of the things in one of his announcements, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. Now, keep in mind, this is not a small position. This is a guy who leads the largest trade organization in America that leads over 1.4 million members of realtors across the country. And when he speaks, we're talking about the real estate market, the retail real estate market. And he was also saying that what he foresees is that the prices will start, the appreciation will slow down and be sort of step in step with salaries. Makes sense, right? No salary means no mortgage payment. No mortgage payment means no mortgage. No mortgage means no house for very many people. So it makes a very good amount of sense, which, by the way, also bodes well for the marketplace if you think about it. What he's also alluding to the fact that mortgage practices have become much more conservative. And as a result of that, you don't have these crazy fog a mirror, get a loan programs. You have people having to verify what they actually make. The banks verifying that what they make is sufficient to qualify for the loan. And therefore, the borrowers that are getting the loans for the last 10 years since the big market crash in 2008 and further have been subject to make sense lending. So as a result, you have a much stronger borrowing base. In fact, if you think about it, when we were talking about the statistics of the people coming out of forbearance, that probably 60% of the people that ever went into forbearance have voluntarily exited forbearance and are now making payments. And as I've been giving you, I think, very good advice here, telling you, first of all, if you are one of those that are either contemplating forbearance or in forbearance, communicate with somebody. I'm going to say start out with your own lender to see what they say. If you don't understand what they say, if you don't agree with what they say, or if they're not saying anything back to you, then give us a call. Let us talk to you and let us coach you and consult you, show you what to do. Our hope is that we can, in fact, have a soft landing out of it once the moratorium of evictions and foreclosures does end. But we're certainly here to be able to help you and certainly guide you, as we've been guiding real estate investors, real estate owners here on this radio show for 23 consecutive years. So through the good times, through the bad times, through the crazy times, through the Great Recession, and through the pandemic, the Real Estate Show has been here, giving a lot of folks a little bit of security, comfort, and certainly good guidance. So let's go down and talk a little bit about inventory. Inventory now has expanded a little bit, not dramatically. I'd say significantly, but not dramatically. The inventory of new homes. Now, remember, there is a distinct difference between new homes and existing homes. So maybe as our listeners, you're going to be a little bit more in tune with what's really going on when you listen to the headlines and you hear the news announcements. When they talk about existing homes, just to give you an idea, existing homes represent 80 to 85% of the sales. In other words, the vast majority. In fact, let's just talk about the 80-20 rule here. 80% of the sales happen to existing inventory. 15 to 20% is new homes. So the amount of new homes coming in, and when they say that there's a smaller supply of new homes, all you're doing is explaining and actually justifying why the sales of new single-family homes declined 6%. Think about this. Inventory of new homes for sale jumped. So the inventory went up. Okay. So did the prices. Remember, the prices went up 6% just year over year. So it's tracking quite well. In fact, how many of your investments are doing 6% or better, guaranteed by a hedge against inflation asset, a hard asset, which isn't going anywhere. It's not going to evaporate or become worthless like paper stocks have in the past. And so they jumped from a 5.5 supply in May to a 6.3 month. Okay. Not even a whole month of extra supply. About the difference between 6.3 or 0.8, 6.3 and 5.5. So we're not even talking about a whole month's worth of inventory. Last fall, it sat at a low. Okay. And this is when the market was very hot in the middle of the pandemic, where it got as low as 3.5%. So it depends on how you want to spin it. If you want to spin it, that's almost double the inventory. And yet, go out there and find some inventory, my friends. What inventory is out there? The number one complaint is that there's nothing for sale. I was in one of our other neighborhoods where we have a property, and there was no homes for sale in that neighborhood. And I'm always paying attention to how many signs are there in the yards, and of course, we're constantly talking to professionals out there in the field who are telling us that the competition for properties is still very, very tough. And again, the median home price, and we're just talking about the new homes. When we come back from our break in a bit, I'm going to talk a little bit about a little bit broader side of the marketplace, because what this article really doesn't talk about is where the buyers are coming from. And remember, I said that there's a pent up demand of people returning to the market who may have lost their homes 10 years ago, took 7 years to recover their credit. Why? Because they didn't call us to talk about the accelerated way to improve your credit. If you want to get into the marketplace right now, you better have your credit in order. And that's why we offer that free report. If you want to get information about how to accelerate your credit, then text the word credit to our our text line, which is 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366. The word credit to get our report on Credit Accelerator. Then we're going to talk about first-time home buyers, which are expected to become 30 to 40% of the market, probably the largest single block, and then it breaks down into other different segments. But first-time home buyers, and you're going to hear us talk more and more about it, because remember, I have said quite boldly here on the radio show that I don't care whether you don't have credit. I know how to accelerate your credit. I don't care if you can't get a loan from a bank, because we've got down payment assistance. We've got mortgages designed for responsible. Okay. And that doesn't necessarily mean by credit score, because we have other methods of verifying that you're able to make the payment. Because really, that's the bottom line that any seller really wants to know, that any lender really wants to know. And of course, that's what everybody should want to know is, can you afford the payment? So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Hear a few words from our sponsors. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Tuesday Tools, Tips, and Techniques edition of The Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner, and I will be right back. Wow, we got a great group here. Let me see if I can make an adjustment here on this. Maybe if I'm trying to stabilize the camera, I guess it's too heavy, and that's why we're getting that angle on the camera. That's much better. So we got Hilda, Michael, Kevin, Eliana. So we've got once again, we've got quite a wide variety of locations from Brazil to California. Of course, always here. We got a presence here in Florida, so it's always good. But lots of cool stuff going on in the marketplace. It's funny, and it's not just a shortage of housing; it's a shortage of appliance, for a shortage of labor, and even lots, and which is kind of interesting because we'll come back about that. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us here on the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show here in America, now celebrating its 23rd consecutive year of guiding, informing, coaching, and helping people in real estate. Now, remember, there's two kinds of people out there. Everybody is involved with real estate, right? You can't help it. You're walking on it, sitting on it, standing on it right now. But there are those that are in real estate, the owners that benefit from the appreciation, the income from the investment properties, the stability of being a homeowner. And then there are those on real estate. Those are the ones that rent, that work on the real estate, but don't own it. I'm going to tell you unequivocally that it is better to be an owner of real estate. And especially today, even the payments are better with record low interest rates. And I don't know how long they'll be around for, but take advantage when you can borrow on a 30-year mortgage at 3%, give or take. When you can borrow on a 15-year mortgage for 2%, give or take. I would say run, don't walk, but get yourself qualified for a mortgage. If you want to get information on how to do that, text the word loan, LOAN, to 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366, so that we can help guide you whether conventional financing is the right thing, FHA or government programs are the right thing. Maybe it's private, maybe it's just off-label, off-brand sources, but there are sources. You show me somebody who's coachable and cooperative truly wants to be a homeowner. I'll show you a homeowner in 90 days. And that's why you're going to hear us talk about our 90-day Fresh Start program, which it's existed for a while. It's not brand new. It's just that we talk more about it at different particular times. Now, I want to talk about first-time home buyers because they're going to be such a large percentage of the marketplace that it's important to understand the first-time home buyer. And whether you are the first-time home buyer listening to this program for the first time, hopefully we're going to give you a couple of nuggets of some gems of good information. However, if you are an investor or a homeowner looking to sell, this is why I'm going to tell you that it's a good idea to understand who first-time home buyers can be. They come in all flavors, all shapes and sizes, and believe it or not, in all price ranges as well. And so the first thing I'm going to say is to a first-time home buyer, and by the way, they could be first-time home buyer because they just came to the United States. They're mature, well-heeled, positive cash flow individuals. And then there are those that are just, you just graduated from school and are getting into the idea of owning a home for the first time. And the concept may even be brand new. So the number one thing, the first tip I would say is do a little bit of soul searching and a little bit of research before you dive in. You've hopefully saved something for your down payment. After all, saving something is a sign of capability and responsibility. And let's just say that you have saved something. Now, remember I said, if you don't have down payment, but you've got strong credit or you've got one of the three aspects, there's three primary factors that you have to understand that matter whenever you buy a house. Number one is the down payment. The down payment could be anywhere between 0% and 100%. And you say, Eric, that's not a down payment. That's the full price. Yes. So whatever you put down, that starts to form what kind of direction you can take. If you got 100% of the down payment of 100% of the price, then credit doesn't matter, does it? And nor does income matter. Doesn't matter. So those are things. If you're a senior citizen, if you're over 62 years old, and you have 50% down payment, credit doesn't matter, income doesn't matter again. So there's a whole bunch of different paths that we can take. And that's why I say, get the free report, text the word loan to 561-861-2366. It'll be a very eye-opening experience, great information, and it's a start. But supposing let's say that you saved your down payment, your credit score is decent, and you even have a dedicated interior design board on Pinterest ready to go. But you should also have a good grasp. And that's why I said do a little bit of soul searching on what's motivating you to move. Be a first time and by the way, important to remind you that a first time home buyer in the world of commercial finance is not somebody who's never owned a property. It's someone who has not owned a property in 3 years. So if you've been out of the market, if you've not been on title for real estate for 3 years, you are deemed a first-time home buyer for all intents and purposes, and therefore you qualify for the first-time home buyer programs that we're going to talk about during this week. We even have programs for folks less than that, but like I said, let's talk about the first-time home buyers for today. And so back to tip number one, get a good grasp on what's motivating you. Why do you want to buy a home? I probably give you a whole bunch of reasons. Like I said, the equity buildup, asset buildup, the potential for income down the road. I have said, and I'll bring this up on our Thursday show, the guaranteed path to become a millionaire, doing what you're doing today. In fact, if you add in our Turbo, your mortgage program, it would be far better. But I have often illustrated that if you took a 20-year-old graduating from college, if instead of renting, he bought his first home and bought a new home every 5 years with nothing more than 3% down, the equivalent of first, last, and security, that by the time he reached retirement age, and I don't care whether he or she, by the way, whether he or she was a low wage earner, a medium wage earner, or a big wage earner, that if they followed this recipe to become a millionaire, they can do whatever they want. Follow the passion of whatever your career is, but every 5 years, buy a new property and rent the last one out. By the end of your 40-year career, you will have 3 free and clear houses. And take it as if it was today. If it was today was the end of the 40-year, that means that you would have the median price of about $350,000 times 3 free and clear. Right there is $1 million, and not talking about the other 10 houses that you would own at different stages of being paid off. But we're going to talk about that on Thursday. Tomorrow is our midweek report. We're going to talk about where the first-time home buyers are all coming from. We'll finish up a few more of our tips here on number 1, do some soul searching. Number 2, get pre-approved. You don't have time to go get a pre-approval or to get approved in a hot market like today. So what comes first, the home or the loan? Well, the chicken or the egg story right here, it's definitely the loan. Get that lined up first. Understand whether you got to get it privately, whether you have it sitting in the bank, or whether you're going to get it from the bank. But that's it. That's what we have time for today. We'll be back again here, same place, same time, tomorrow, right here. So until then, drive safe. Remember, wash those hands and make it a great day. Bye-bye. We'll lock that one down.